Okay, we've all heard it. All professional athletes eat carbs. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you, right? How many times have we heard that logic? But what happens if the logic's maybe backwards? Okay, what if the performance diet of an elite athlete isn't the same health diet for the rest of us? Today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the real difference between fueling for performance and fueling for health. And we're also going to take a look at the men proving the strength, endurance, and even some elite level competition doesn't require a constant need or a constant stream of carbs. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Carbs are not essential for life. Glucose is, though, and your body can make all the glucose it needs through a process called gluconeogenesis. The key difference is that athletes who train, and I'm not talking about your general, the guy that's playing basketball with his buddies every Saturday, okay? I'm talking professional athletes, people whose livelihoods depend on their performance. Those people who train 6 days a week, 6 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, they will burn through that stored glycogen in the body. You, the guy who is working out maybe 3 to 5 days a week for 45 minutes to 3 hours a day, not so much, okay? And that, I believe, is one of the biggest lies that a lot of people have been telling. And this is why the ketogenic diet has caught on so much. So, when people tell you that athletes need carbs, well, they're right, but it's equal to the level of output that they have. But for the average man trying to lose fat, think clearly, stay strong, that same carb load just doesn't lead to energy. It leads to energy crashes and, unfortunately, fat storage, as I well know. Okay, so the first person we're going to talk about here is Professor Tim Noakes. He was an ultra marathon runner. He did, did a lot of lectures on ultra running, and he was really one of the most respected sports scientists and former ultra marathoner. For decades, he advocated for carb loading. That was until his own health really told him, hey, we need to back off on this. After developing, and I know insulin resistance is not a medical condition, it's a description. He reversed course and became one of the leading advocates for a low-carb diet, especially for low-carb endurance. What Noakes proved was that science shows once you're fat adapted, the body can run on its own stored fuel for hours without crashing. And that's not theory for him, that was lived experience. Number 2, Dr. Shawn Baker. Now, Dr. Shawn Baker is a carnivore diet advocate and the author of the Carnivore Diet book. He is a former rugby player. I believe he played in New Zealand. He was an American Air Force officer who had his finger on the nuclear button. He became an orthopedic surgeon, went to Afghanistan, and treated all sorts of horrific wounds. Now, what does that make him qualified? Well, he is at almost the age of 60 now. I believe he's 58 or 59. He is a world record holder on the Concept 2 rower. But he's a man who thrives on the carnivore diet. No carbs, no extra sugars, just performance that is fueled by a high-fat, high-protein diet. I mean, you take a look at his YouTube channel and his Instagrams, and even on his X account. He's sitting there, he's lifting weights. He's just recently broke another Concept 2 record on the rower. All right? I mean, if carbs were required for power output, Dr. Baker's results would not exist at all, okay? Matter of fact, interestingly enough, one of the world's strongest men, Eddie Hall, just consulted with Dr. Baker after retiring, and he wanted to try the ketogenic diet. I believe Eddie Hall, or not ketogenic diet, the carnivore diet. He tried it for 90 days. And after 90 days, he's pretty much moved on to a more meat-based approach. Is he strict carnivore? No. But if you take a look at the photos of him after the carnivore diet, he is proof that even elite strongmen can use these same principles to restore health post-career. All right, third athlete, Robert Sykes, professional bodybuilder. He went pro in bodybuilding, and he is the author of Ketogenic Bodybuilding. He went pro and earned his pro card while fully ketogenic. We're not talking, carb cycling that bodybuilders are known for. No refeed days. I mean, there are refeed days if you read his book, but it's all based on macros and how the ketogenic diet works with discipline. And he'll tell you, and I've watched interviews with him, okay? One of the biggest problems in bodybuilding is eating disorders. For him, the ketogenic diet allowed him to earn his pro card without the threat of those eating disorders creeping in and having those crashes, those high peaks and those downs. I believe Robert calls carbs a tool. I mean, they're really not, and they're not a necessity. I would tell you he would probably use them tactically if he needs to. But his foundation of his entire career is metabolic control. Now, other elite athletes that have used the ketogenic diet after their career to regain their metabolic health, Joe Thomas, 11 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. He adopted the ketogenic approach to lose 50 pounds of fat and regain his health on basically a low carb intermittent fasting approach. He'll tell you, and I believe it was an interview. He said he eats lots of meats, vegetables, and healthy fats. No more massive carb loads, right? He's no longer playing professional football, so he doesn't need to eat all of that weight in carbs. Tim Tebow, another individual, he's been publicly ketogenic since 2012. Still trains hard. If you follow him on Instagram, follow him on social media, he still looks like an athlete, but eats and performs to stay metabolically healthy. I mean, here is more proof that even an elite level athlete can shift gears, using carbs when they're a tool, but they're not a crutch anymore. Okay? They're not used to build mass and maintain that mass because they're not playing anymore. Last but not least, the U.S. military has an interest now in the ketogenic approach. Okay, they are looking at it for 2 or 3 reasons. First one is body composition. Obviously, there is an obesity problem in the U.S. military, but primarily they've started focusing in on fat adaptation and talking about control of your cognitive abilities, because the ketogenic diet and the carnivore diet are both renowned for producing ketones, which your brain will use as a fuel that helps with the cognitive functions. If you take a look at with U.S. military, I believe it was the Karazhan Military Medicine in 2020, ROTC cadets on a ketogenic diet for 12 weeks lost 13% body fat, preserved lean mass, and improved insulin sensitivity. Volek, which is an Ohio State University study in 2019, found similar results in active duty personnel. Keto improved weight management without loss of performance. We're not talking a whole lot of carbs here. Now, as for the cognitive studies, they are still out. They are finding that in some instances, and I know Thomas DeLauer has talked about it on his YouTube channel, where he is helping certain military special forces adapt keto for that cognitive ability. I would go ahead and find his videos on that if you want more information. So let's go ahead and bring it home here. Okay? Here's the truth. Carbohydrates are a performance enhancer. They are not a requirement for life. Okay? If you want to do a marathon, okay, and you believe that you're training for this marathon, but you're not an elite athlete. There's a gentleman on X, his name is Chris Cornell, cancer survivor. He's 58 years old. I believe he just ran his first marathon last year, completely ketogenic. Okay? If you're on X, I highly recommend you following his account. But I'm sure that there are people who are ketogenic that have used carbs in those ultra marathon runs to use as a quick performance enhancer, right? They eat the gels, or they'll get a quick sugary Gatorade or something like that. However, and again, this goes back to the professionals training for the extremes, but however, for the rest of us, men trying to lose fat, stay sharp, perform in the real world, metabolic flexibility beats sugar dependency every single time. It beats carbohydrate dependency every single time. Remember, guys, there is no downside to becoming physically strong, metabolically healthy, or spiritually fortified. Okay, if you got value from this breakdown, hit like, drop a comment down below. Tell me which athlete's approach you connect with most. Is it Noakes? Is it Baker? Is it Sykes? Is it Thomas? Is it Eddie Halls? Okay, and remember, the goal isn't to eat like a pro athlete. It's to live like a man in control of his life. And by doing that, he controls his fuel intake. Thank you guys very much. Like I said, hit like, hit the button, enjoy your life. Do this for your family, gentlemen. Have a good day.